Pretty cool scene this morning from Barbeau, Michigan. Got a huge ship going down the river here. Pretty common occurrence here. Something I don't see a lot where I live in Alaska. Hi, it's Tim from AKA Endless back with another video. Today's topic is negotiating at the National Sports Collectors Convention. Alright, so there are a relatively large segment of people in the collecting hobby that aren't very comfortable with negotiating. So whether you like to or not, I've got some ideas and some things that I've picked up over time that I think that you might find of value. So right off the top, so when I go to the National and I see cards that are graded, they're slabbed by PSA or BGS or any of the companies, SGC, CGC, whatever the company, I really pay attention to average sales if the card isn't rare. If the card isn't rare, then you really have to go by average comps, because the old saying goes, hey, well, if you don't want to buy it from me, just buy it on eBay. And yeah, absolutely. Why wouldn't I? So there's that. Once in a while you'll get dealers that have that mentality that, well, if that card is selling for $80 on eBay, then you should be buying one of those. And sometimes you gotta take them up on that and just buy one of those, because why would you pay, let's say, 100 or 120 for a card that consistently sells for 80? It just doesn't make sense. So if it's not rare and it's priced above eBay, it's really not worth messing with, in my opinion. So I usually pass on those types of things. So that's something to keep in mind. Another point I wanted to mention was, so going to the National is not cheap. It's not cheap for the dealers. It's not cheap for the people that are just going there as collectors to attend. The expenses can really wrap up, really, for both sides. I recall years ago, I don't know, probably like 7-8 years ago, I was at a show, and I was trying the Art of the Bundle, where you try to buy a group of cards, get a little bit of a discount. And I was looking at eBay comps, and none of the cards were exceptionally rare. And I made an offer, which I thought was basically, sorry, there's some bugs out here. It was basically eBay prices, minus like 5 or 10%, because I look at it that way too. There's fees and stuff. So let's even round up. Let's say I offered like 10% below eBay for the group of cards. And the response that I got from the seller was a counter that was above eBay prices, with a follow-up, because he was kind of upset about it for some reason. It wasn't like I super lowballed him or anything, but he's basically just like, look, I've got expenses, booths, travel, everything. My response to the dealer, and I was respectful about it, but my response was, so do I. Like, dealers have big expenses for this show, but so do the people that are in attendance. I live in Alaska, so I buy an airline ticket, hotels, transportation. Like, I got expenses too, and I'm not going to pay above eBay prices just to buy something in person. Again, unless it's rare. If it's something that's hard to find, or it's a raw card that's like in exceptional condition, I'm not going to pay above eBay to do that just because I'm there at the show. So everybody's got expenses, so keep that in mind when you're negotiating. If you ever hear that from somebody telling you that, hey, I'm a dealer, I have expenses, so do you. So something to keep in mind. I will say this, I read a lot of threads on like blowout forums and stuff like that. And one of the common things that people bring up is, a lot of cards are overpriced at the National. I haven't found this to be a huge issue overall. I've had times where I've picked up a card and I've expressed interest, and I don't even have to ask for a price discount. The dealer just offers one without me even asking. So sometimes it's just, don't pay, you gotta pay attention to the sticker, but don't think that that's the end all be all, that just because it's priced at a certain dollar amount, that they're firm on that. They could be, again, if it's something rare. But don't be afraid to pick something up, look it over, show some interest, and sometimes dealers will surprise you. Again, I've had a $300 card one time. I picked it up, was looking at it. I didn't even ask, didn't even say anything about it. Dealer's like, well, I think I could do like $250. Easy enough, bought it. So something to think about, that sticker prices, unless the car's like exceptionally rare, or you got a player that's like exceptionally hot at the time, a lot of dealers are really flexible. I've actually had really good luck with dealers over the years. Like I said, I had that one that was talking to me about their expenses and stuff, but it's kind of an outlier, and I wasn't going to get in an arguing match with that guy. I just responded that I have expenses too. I don't need to argue about it. It is what it is. I wasn't going to buy it from him anyway, so it's all good. Keep in mind too that this is also something to consider. I am willing to pay a premium at the show for raw cards that are in great condition. I am absolutely willing to pay a premium, because I believe that ability to be able to judge condition in person is valuable with a lot of cards, especially if they're like from a condition sensitive set. You get a great copy that you can look at in hand. I'm willing to pay a little bit more for that. For example, if comps are like $40 on a card and I get one in hand that looks like it's in great condition and they want $45-50, I'll probably pay it, just because I think there should be a little bit of a premium for us collectors, because it really sucks to buy stuff on eBay and other sites and get it in hand and then have them be in crap condition. That really does suck. I don't like to return stuff, but sometimes if it's glaring enough, you don't have much of a choice. So I do put a premium on that, so something to think about too. A lot of people don't like the dealers that don't price their cards. They don't have anything marked. So I'm 50-50 on this. Like, I get it. The price of sports cards changes so frequently that it's kind of hard to have everything priced, especially these dealers that have huge amounts of cards. So if you're in that situation and a dealer has a lot of cards that you like, but you don't know where they're at price-wise, what I'll do is I'll do a test card or two where I'll pick out a card or two that I'm really familiar with, or one that I want to look up real quick, and I'll do a test. And I'll basically, look up recent comps. It's a card that's easy to get, and the card, its comp is like $20. Let's just use some round numbers. It's like $20. Then the dealer comes back and tells me 30. That's probably not going to be a dealer where I'm going to spend a lot of time, searching through those cards, because the prices are probably going to be off. I see a $20 card. Dealer comes back with 20 or 15 bucks. It might be worth looking through their stuff, because again, you might be able to bundle some stuff up together. Remember, bundling, you're just getting a group of cards, handful of cards, and getting like a group discount because you're buying a bunch. So something to consider. Do a little price test. Pick out a card or two, ask them what they want, and if it's going in the right direction, it's probably a dealer you want to spend some money with, in my opinion. Or if they give you a price of, the card's $20 and they tell you 25, but they tell you right off the bat that they're going to give you a group discount, like, hey, if you pick out a bunch of stuff, we'll unlock a bunch off. That's probably a winner too. So, done that many, 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 many times. The test price is usually a good idea. Another option too. So, one year I went to the National, and due to some scheduling stuff, I was only able to go for like a day and a half. In my opinion, this is not enough time. If you're going to go to the National, in my opinion, you got to go for multiple days. This year I'm going Wednesday to Sunday. If you're going to do that, I talked in a previous video that if you find cards that are rare and fairly priced, to buy them. But if you find stuff that's a little easier to find and you're not sure on the price, make some table notes and check back with that dealer later. Because as the show goes on, they may start dropping some prices. I'm split on Sundays. I found some pretty good deals on Sundays in the past. Nothing too exceptional though. I kind of just like going on Sundays because I usually have a handful of cards that I can't decide between. And it's kind of like, well, I get that extra day to kind of make a final choice. So that's something to consider too. So making some table notes, check back with dealers, see if they still have the cards, see if they're dropping prices as the show goes on. Some will, some won't. Some will just say, yeah, I'll tote them home, and that's fine. That's their right. That's their cards. They can do whatever they want with them. Just two last things. You got to know when you're being offered a great deal. Sometimes you'll inquire about a card or a few cards, and a dealer will just give you a spectacular price. You kind of got to know that. You kind of got to know what you're looking at. And if that's the case, and I find a card or cards, and the dealer just gives me a great price, like right out the gate, sometimes I don't even negotiate. I just buy them. I can appreciate being offered a good deal, but you have to understand what you're looking at. If you've got $200 worth of cards and a dealer's offering them to you for $150, that's a green light in my book. And if I'm being offered something really fair like that, I just take it. I don't even negotiate. Sometimes dealers complain about that, and they're basically saying, well, I offer these great deals to people and they still want to take some more money off. Well, that's people's prerogative, I guess, if they want to try to drop it even more. But I'm one that tends to respect a good deal. So, but again, that knowledge is important, and knowing what you're looking at. Morning. So just one final thing. Anytime you're going through negotiations with dealers, there's always a chance that it's not going to work out, and that's fine. Happens all the time. This show is in a convention center with over 800,000 square feet. If you've never been, it's huge. Tons of dealers. You're not going to be always be able to reach a deal with these dealers. I've always kind of been of the belief that even if the dealer's a little abrasive, which is rare, even if they are, just end it with some degree of respect. It's cardboard. It's a hobby. You're not always going to agree on a price. I can give you one example as I close here. A few years ago, I was looking at a card. It was a Luka Doncic card, actually, that I didn't have. And it was priced a little high. It had a sticker on it. And I asked the dealer, I was just like, hey, what do you got to get on this Luka? Typically when you say something like that, a dealer will be like, oh, well, if I have a price for 200, let's do 180. Usually there's a positive response from a dealer, is my point. They know the deal, and they usually price a little high knowing that people are going to want to negotiate. But the dealer was like, it's priced and the price is the price. Okay. It's kind of rude, kind of abrupt, and these dealers, they're working long days at the Nationals, so you got to give them a little grace. And that was fine. And I just left. I ended up leaving the show. I think this was on a Saturday. Ended up leaving the show the next day and never bought the card. Bought it on eBay for about $50 less later. Sometimes just patience pays if it's not something ridiculously rare. So, even if you're not treated with the utmost respect, I try to keep things respectful. Again, it's a hobby. Those dealers work long days. Everybody deserves a little grace now and again, so it's just something to keep in mind. So, well, it's another beautiful day here in northern Michigan. Sun's out, birds are chirping, out on a nice walk. Hope that everybody's July is going great. And remember that the opportunities for collecting sports cards are endless.